are drawn to lighthouses because they are often in beautiful settings. They are symbols of hope and light and future progress. People just enjoy lighthouses immensely because of their beauty, but also the stories that are wrapped up in them.
Okay, South Manitou, right on schedule.
Wow, guys. That bridge is cool.
One of the big stories of the Manitou Passage is the deep water harbor on South Manitou Island. It has been the port of refuge for hundreds of years right now.
Yeah, look at that. There's the lighthouse. Man, that's so cool.
And that's one reason why the South Manitou Lighthouse was the first one on Lake Michigan.
Whoa!
Gosh.
Oh my goodness, look at that.
And so the first lighthouse in the Manitou Passage was on South Manitou Island in 1839, and it was a pretty rudimentary structure. It was replaced later on in 1858, and then in 1871, the lighthouse that we all think of today at South Manitou, the 100-foot cylindrical tower, was completed and lit, and that lighthouse has been there for over 150 years.
Hello.
Hey.
How you doing? Hey.
How are you?
Welcome to South Manitou. This is the lighthouse, and this was built in 1871. The walls are 6 feet thick on the bottom.
Wow.
They go up and they become 2 feet thick on the top. All right, let's go inside and take a look. Awesome, thank you.
Climbing the tower on South Manitou Island, you've got 118 steps that you're going up. Easy peasy.
Yeah, get our steps in for the day.
And the last few steps get you up into this little area that's right below the lens.
That's called a Fresnel lens. It was made in the 1800s. So this is an acrylic replica, and it revolutionized lighthouse keeping because it would take the light from the lamp or from the flame, and it would refract it and reflect it and send it out as a beam. And it can be seen for 10 miles on this lake.
And then you have this little tiny doorway that you go out to the catwalk through. And then all of a sudden you are surrounded by sky and water. It feels magical. I don't know how else to describe it.
Ugh, that water is just like crystal clear.
And that gives you an even greater perspective on this whole passageway and Lake Michigan and how it all is connected. The Manitou Passage was the highway of the 1800s. So ships were going up and down the Great Lakes, transiting people and products to Chicago, Buffalo, Detroit, and they would take the Manitou Passage as a shortcut. The Manitou Passage was really dangerous because of those shoals, so shallow waters along the mainland of Leelanau County and then around the islands, coming off the south end of North Manitou Island and off of what's called Pyramid Point. To get ships through safely, having those lighthouses strategically placed along the passageway was really critical. Point Betsie Lighthouse is at the very southern end of the Manitou Passage, and its construction began in 1854, and it was completed 4 years later in 1858. It was the last manned lighthouse on Lake Michigan, and it was actually the last lighthouse in the state of Michigan to lose its keeper.
Welcome to Point Betsie Lighthouse, built in 1858, marking the south end of the Manitou Passage. Point Betsie is both a lighthouse and a life-saving station. We're talking primarily about the era of the schooners and the very early steamships. This portrays an actual rescue from the steamer St. Lawrence that was grounded just south of here. A line was shot from the shore to a ship. The crew went out to the ship several times and brought them to shore. Well, that's, in a nutshell, the story of the St. Lawrence, one of the great rescues conducted on Lake Michigan.
Here in Sleeping Bear Dunes, we have some of the most incredible views from the locations of the lighthouses, and even more incredible views once you climb the tower and get out on that catwalk that's around the lens. North Manitou Island Lighthouse was built in 1896. It was a wooden tower. It was actually square. The very southern end of the island was known for erosion, and eventually over time, the lighthouse actually fell into the lake. They determined that having a shoal lighthouse out in the water was a better use to mark that area of the Manitou Passage.
And in 1910, they didn't have the budget or the funding to build a lighthouse, so they would actually park a ship out there. It was called a light ship. It had a tower on it with a beacon, and that helped ships safely transit the Manitou Passage. Well, in 1932, the Lighthouse Bureau, which is the predecessor to the United States Coast Guard, got funding to actually build a permanent structure out there to replace this light ship.
So in 1980, the Coast Guard automated the equipment, and it's been operating that way until they deemed it excess property in 2016, and we started the bidding process. Our first impression when we saw that this lighthouse was going up for auction was, wow, it would be amazing to own a lighthouse. Well, then we went to the website and saw that it was in pretty bad shape, and the reality started to set in that we might bid on and even win the lighthouse and be able to buy it, but then what are we going to do with it? And that's where our mission really started to set in. We are North Manitou Lightkeepers. We were founded in 2016. Our mission is to restore the lighthouse, make it open to the public for access, for tours, and to really honor the legacy of the Coast Guard who served there to protect lives in the Manitou Passage, and to beautify and protect a lighthouse that's standing in one of the most beautiful places in America.
The lighthouse itself is owned by our organization, the North Manitou Lightkeepers. However, it's important to point out that it is still an active aid to navigation for ships transiting the Manitou Passage.
I think I love Sleeping Bear Dunes mostly because of the feeling. I feel so connected with nature and at peace. Being there, I kind of come for that feeling. And that is a core emotional driver for why I love being here and why I have such a passion about it.
And in Sleeping Bear Dunes, we have some really special lighthouses here. They mark a really important passageway for Great Lakes maritime navigation.
I think people love lighthouses in the simplest form, the structures. They're kind of unique, they're in unique places, they're in beautiful places. But I also think the symbolism of the lighthouse really appeals to people. It's a guiding light in the darkness. So I think there's a greater meaning and a greater symbolism that really speaks to most people and how they feel about lighthouses.